All right, we're going to take a look at drawing the side view of your project. And we're going to take some dimensions off the front view. What we're really going to be looking for on the front view is the overall height of the cabinet. That's the main number we want. The 12 that we see on here isn't going to matter for this because we're drawing how far back the cabinet goes, which we cannot see from this front view. Now, if you don't have a specific need for it to be a certain size, there's some parameters I would follow that will help make this more manageable. Let me zoom into this. This represents a sheet of plywood. A sheet of plywood is typically 48 by 96, or maybe slightly bigger if it's oversized. And if we stay 16 inches deep on the cabinet, that allows us to fit 3 full pieces of wood on a sheet of plywood. Now, we're going to have the face frame on the front of the cabinet, so 16 minus the face frame, we would have a little bit of room here for the kerf or the saw blade thickness. Okay, so if your depth doesn't matter, don't make it 24 inches deep just to make it the max size. Try to think about cost and things like that. If we do 16 inches minus the face frame, that would give you enough material or enough strips of wood to get 3 pieces out of there. Now, if you want to be more economical, you could build a shorter or a narrower cabinet, and you could get 12-inch pieces, and you'd fit 4 12-inch pieces. 12 inches is a little narrow or a little not very deep for a cabinet, because by the time you build the drawer, it's going to be like an 8-inch deep drawer. I would say a good size is the 16 inches, unless, like I said, there's some reason you need to have a deeper project. You know you're going to store something in there that has to be that deep, then go ahead and make it deeper. But for today's purposes, we're going to make it 16 inches deep. So I'm going to take my pencil tool. I'm going to start in one spot, doesn't matter where, click and pull the pencil over. I'm going to tell it how far to go. I just said I want to go 16 inches deep. So I'm going to write 16. Now I'm going to go 28 inches tall. So I'm going to pull it down. You can see the green line again indicates that I'm nice and straight. And I'm going to type 28, enter, and it's going to snap to a 28-inch long line. I'm going to pull it to the left and type 12 again. That's going to snap. Oh, we went 16, didn't we? Pull it over, type 16, enter. That's a 16-inch long line, and connect it back up. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this a little bit more full screen. Now, I told you we're going to have the face frame on here. So the face frame material comes at 15/16 of an inch thick. We're going to run it through the wide belt sander a few times. So we're probably going to be 7/8, maybe a little bit thinner than 7/8 by the time we're done. So for today's purpose, we're going to draw the face frame at 7/8 of an inch deep, or thick. So this line represents my face frame. We can label that quick so you don't forget what it's for. Face frame. All right. Some other things we're going to see on the side view. We're going to see the top have an overhang. Again, what we did on the side, we're going to copy to the front. So we're going to come off 1.5 inches and up 0.875 or 7/8. I'm going to do the same thing, rather than trying to figure out how long that is, I'm just going to come back here and draw my line up 0.875 and connect it over. Now, it's up to you if you want to have an overhang on the back, you're welcome to, but if you don't want to, that's fine as well. Now, this is going to be against the wall, so your wall would be just maybe 1 inch away from here by the time you have your base trim on your wall at your house. So that might leave room for cords to run through, things like that. It's up to you. If you want to add that on there, you want to have a overhang on the back, that is fine. It's all your choice, your project for that. So I'm going to put the wood grain on here. Now, when we build projects, typically the wood grain does not run front to back. It always runs side to side or up and down. So I'm going to take my wood grain. I wouldn't want it to run front to back. I just said that's not typically what we do. So up and down is what we're looking for. Okay, so there's my up and down grain. That looks good. And then the only other thing I would really maybe see from the side is going to be my trim. So if I take my pencil tool and we're going to draw the trim on, just like we did on the back view, it's going to hang off about 7/8 of an inch. And we're going to be up about 3 inches tall. Now this time, instead of just finishing right here, okay, at the front of the face frame, this piece of trim is actually going to run all the way the length of the cabinet. Now, these do run all the way to the floor. So I'm going to delete these because when I look at my cabinet, I would actually see it just like this. Okay, my trim runs right here, my plywood's up here. Now, when we dimension this, we want to dimension from the bottom of the top all the way to the floor because that plywood goes all the way to the floor. If we pull a dimension from here to here, that's going to be small, and you might accidentally figure your plans or cut something to 25 inches. We don't want that. So don't put that dimension. Just put the 28 from floor to the bottom of the top. Later on in our plans, we're going to need to know how wide the top piece is. So that's going to need that dimension. Just for referencing, we can make sure our overhang's the same as our other views. That doesn't look good. You can see we're cutting through lines there. I'm going to move that over to the other side for better viewing. All right, the other thing we need to dimension is our trim. We want to know how tall it is, how long it is. All sizes we're going to need later. Now, the other thing we're going to need now, we have a couple sizes. We're going to also put on how deep is the project with the face frame and how deep is the project without the face frame. We're going to need these sizes later on as we draw our plywood view. That's about all there really is to a side view. One thing you wouldn't see this on the side view, but just for references, as we talk about cleats, there's going to be 2 cleats that are up here. They're going to be on the inside of the cabinet, and they would sit right about there and right about here. Now, you would not see these on the outside of the cabinet, but they would be right there on the inside of the cabinet. These cleats are those 2 3-inch strips I was talking about on the back view that give your project structure and also allow you to screw the solid top on later on. All right, happy drawing.